Hello and welcome to Speaking with the Speaker. As you can tell tonight, I am on my own. So lonely because my girls all abandoned me on which is funny, which is one of our favorite animes of all the ones they abandoned me on. I'm just like, really? So I went around desperately trying to guilt trip them into coming, and they're just like, man, you because they're girls, and no, anyway. So I'd like to apologize to everybody. This has been kind of a weird day. I was on a stream with Loki earlier today while he was watching 300. I moved this stream to 8 o'clock to accommodate his stream, which somewhere along the line I forgot how time works in the United States and accidentally put yeah, anyway, I forgot the Central's actually ahead of anyway, it was a long story. So I ended up moving this back very short notice. So for those of you who do find this stream and it's after the fact, I apologize for the mass confusion today on when this was actually going to be taking place. Um, and I'm sure a lot of you'll be like, yeah, we didn't really miss you, Brian. It's okay. Anyway, so I'm excited to talk about this tonight. But before I get into the main topic of the evening, I just want to cover something else real quick because last week um, we covered another show. We covered Demon Slayer, and on this week I actually had the opportunity to go see it in the theater. The brand new movie that has just come out, the Demon Slayer Mugen Train, I think is how you say it. We went and saw it, watched it in subtitles. First time I've actually ever done that. Watched a subtitle film, and I was really worried because I've tried to do subtitle anime before, and I can't. It's like most of the time. I guess I'm a slow reader. I don't know, but it's really hard for me to read and focus on the what's happening in the background, and so I often feel like I'm missing stuff as I'm trying to read and then watch the action that's happening. But it was actually really good. Fantastic film. And the reason I went to see this in the theater is because of kind of my theme and my feelings about things right now, that it is really important that we support what we love. Go to the theater, spend some money, show these creators with our wallets what we want to see. And that's what I'm doing. This movie came out, and even if I'd have sat there not being able to understand a single thing, I would have still went and saw it because I wanted to give my money. But it was very good, very worth it. I encourage anybody who has not seen it yet to go do that. Anyway, so let's get on to the main subject for tonight, and that is Maid-Sama. Now, this is a slice of life anime. It is one that I kind of stumbled across. I think my daughter, one of my daughters that usually see on my streams with me, had kind of suggested this one, and then I kind of forgot about it, to be quite honest. And then when I was out on the road, I popped it up and was watching it and fell in love with this. Oh, hey Adega, thanks for popping in. Which, by the way, if you have not subscribed to Adega Outlaw, go do so. Go do yourself a huge favor and go and subscribe to Adega Outlaw. Today he does premieres of new chapters of his book every Sunday at 4:30, which is before this show by a little bit, and it's fantastic. I just went and listened to it because I was on live stream when he actually did his premiere this week, so I went and listened to it after the fact. Fantastic, so good. So go do that. But it is this anime was one that kind of caught me off guard and actually really surprised me. I was not expecting to like it. I mean, the name alone kind of was like, yeah, I didn't really think this was going to be something that I was going to be big time into. And I found, like with a lot of these slice of life type animes, that the way the stories are told, they surprise me. they catch me off guard. They make you look at life in a slightly different way than you were looking at it before. They make you see a perspective that maybe you haven't seen before. And it's one of the things that I have really fallen in love with anime about is because it's not the same old way that Americans or other places see, you know, storylines. The Japanese will tell stories and use storylines that they're just not normal for what I'm used to. And so I get exposed to a lot of different really cool things. And this anime is no exception. It circles around. Let me read to you the from the Wikipedia entry what the plot synopsis for this anime is. Once an all-boys high school, Seika High, infamous for its rowdy students, has recently become a co-ed school. However, with the female population still remaining in the minority even after the changeover of recent years, Misaki Ayazawa, pardon me, works hard to make the school a better place for girls. She puts a lot of effort into academics and athletics and earns the trust of the teachers. Eventually, she becomes the first female student council president. Misaki has gained a reputation among the male student body as a strict, boy-hating demon dictator, and as a shining hope for the teachers and fellow female students. However, despite her reputation, she secretly works at a part-time maid cafe in order to support her ill mother, sister, and returning a huge debt that their father had left them. Unfortunately, Misaki's secret soon discovered by Takesami Usui, a popular boy at Seika High School. So that's kind of I'll let you go read the rest of it for yourselves. But so that's the basic synopsis of this story. This is a family whose father has left them, and it's a mother and two daughters. They live in a rundown house. It's falling apart. They're deeply in debt because of their father, and because of this, Misaki, the main character, really has a huge chip on her shoulder towards men and boys in general. So this is it. If this was being done an American way, it would be done really awfully, especially in our current climate today, where men are the worst things ever, fathers are terrible, and boys should just all die or get sex changed into girls. And so this does not happen in this this particular anime. Misaki is. She really is made out to be this demon student body president. Now, I don't know if it's an actual thing that happens within the Japanese school systems, but a lot of animes really seem to put a lot of control and power in the student body. Now, I don't know how accurate that is, whether the Japanese actually do that, or that's just kind of a trope that they use for storytelling in anime. But so she is this student council, and she is trying to change this image of this Seika High School. And she has built up this character of herself that she is this hard nose, pardon the expression, but hard ass, just no nonsense, you know, beat the crap out of anybody who's just being obnoxious kind of a girl. She's very strong, very independent, very, very driven. And she is a lot of fun. Now, into this, as I read in the synopsis, comes Takami Usui, and they just call him Usui most of the time throughout the show. And he is kind of he's a man's man, very few words, quiet, super good looking. If you saw the intro to the show tonight, you see him. He's a blonde, tall, slender, athletic guy. And all the girls love him. He's constantly turning down girls who are you know, vowing their love for him and stuff. He's constantly having to turn them down. And Misaki gets mad at him for this because he's, you know, she thinks he's being mean, and he's just trying to be like, I don't feel that way. And anyway, so he actually becomes kind of enamored with Misaki. Welcome, Dee Dee Myers, Cat Ben. Thank you for being here. But he becomes enamored with Misaki through this process because he does find that she works at this maid cafe. Now, before I got into anime, I would not have known what a maid cafe actually was. They're a real thing, though. You go into Japan, and you go in, and you can play games with the girls that work there as maids. They do all these crazy things. They'll do karaoke. Um, but they come in, and I mean, they'll do crazy stuff. I went and did some research on this when I first started watching this anime, because I'm like, this can't be a real thing. They can't actually have these maid cafes where people can go, but they absolutely do. And it's a really funny phenomenon. And I just thought, I wonder if I've actually thought, would that work in the United States? Could you do something like that? Maybe there even are ones in the US. I don't know. Never been to one. But I just thought it's a real interactive thing. And the way it's portrayed in this particular anime is just a lot of fun. But it shows two completely different sides of Misaki, because when she's at this cafe, she has to be this cutesy, fun-loving, bubbly, effervescent kind of girl, typical girl and stuff, and be a maid basically, and cater to the whims of the customers as they come in, which is predominantly a lot of guys coming in. Because who wouldn't want to be waited on by cute girls? It's the G version of Hooters. It's what I always kind of got the impression of. So it's like nobody's walking around with their bosoms hanging out, but they are kind of in French maid type outfits and stuff. So all these guys are coming in, they're just ogling these girls. Welcome, Martin. But yeah, so it's just kind of a fun to see this juxtaposition of her character, that she's this hard-nosed, hard-ass student body council president at school, and so different when she has to go to her job. Now, I know it might sound strange that here's this 47-year-old guy who loves like high school type animes. It kind of surprised me, quite honestly, about myself. It's one of those things where maybe these kind of animes help you relive those moments from your youth that you miss. It helps you remember things about when you were younger that maybe you forgot. And I think sometimes it helps me stay young and remember, and to kind of empathize with my kids, because I have 5 daughters that I have to beat boys off with sticks, around my house to keep them from just swarming around here like flies and locusts. But it's a lot of fun to get to be a part of these animes, and to see and remember what that's like, what it was like. Do you remember going to high school? Do you remember how that felt, and going through all those confusing times in your life where you're trying to figure out, how to interact with girls and boys, and how that all works. And it's a fun anime. This anime is very funny because of the chemistry between Usui and Misaki. He's basically having to cut through this man-hating facade that she has created, and because she's damaged from her father leaving and just basically dumping them with all this debt and stuff, and her mother's ill, works like 2 jobs, struggles through all of these different things, and she's had to become this hard-nosed, go to school, work part-time, do all these things to help provide for her family. And he's got to try and cut through all of this. And you'd think as the most popular kid in school, I mean, it'd be easy, but it's not. And he takes this challenge on, and I mean, falls for her basically because of who she is, because of how good she is, how hard she works, what an amazing student she is, and stuff. But the teasing and the interaction between them times is absolutely freaking hilarious. Her reactions, like he'll do things to get under her skin, because he's basically trying to break through those barriers with her constantly, and she's constantly trying to throw the barrier back up, and it's just so much fun. One of my favorite parts of this is like, because he goes to this cafe, this maid cafe, and just sits there and stares at her, and that's what it shows him sitting there, and then it shows over the top of him. It's like stare. It's getting on her nerves and frustrating her, and she's terrified that he's gonna go and tell the school what she does, which will destroy the image of this hard-nosed girl that she's built up about herself, because she can't be that at all at this job. Anyway, so, but one of the funniest things about this is there's these three boys that she's constantly having problems with. They're kind of the slacker, hard-nosed guys in the school, and she walks up to, she's like, tuck your shirt in, take those earrings out, that's against school rules, and blah blah blah. Ends up ripping this guy's earrings right out right out of his ear, and they freak out and run away from her. And anyway, then they find out she works at this maid cafe, and because of Usui's influence, tries to, I don't know, just tries to overcome stuff with them. They end up basically falling for her and just becoming like her biggest fans. And they're like these little fanboys that go to the cafe every day, and they're just, for the way they start and what they become, it is really, really funny. And she's just like, so they'll order like an omelet, and part of their thing is that they write cutesy messages on the omelets for them before they eat them. And they're like, just write whatever you want. And she's just like, die. she writes these horrible messages to them, and they just love it. It's like they become these masochistic kids, and it is really funny. And her interactions with the other boys at this school, it is really fun. But Dee Dee Myers has just said, yeah, and this is one of the things I love about anime, especially because I get that chance to watch this stuff with my kids and be part of their lives and to discuss these things, and it opens up all these conversations, which we were talking about actually that today at dinner. Like, our Sunday dinners usually devolve into anime discussions, which really irritates my wife because she doesn't like anime, and she's just like, so my daughter is kind of dating this boy right now, and they were Skyping the other night, and my wife got involved in the conversation somehow, but she turns to this kid and goes, "You don't like anime, do you?" And he's like, "Well, I've never really watched it." She's just like, "Oh, good." And basically just starts telling this kid that my daughter's dating, basically how she needs an ally in the anti-anime discussion. It was just kind of funny how it all turned. My daughter's just sitting there going, "Why are you telling him this?" But yeah, so we end up talking a lot about anime in our house, and it's awesome because it opens up all of these avenues and these opportunities to talk with my kids about things that I might not otherwise always get to talk about, because I'm watching anime about high school kids and stuff. So that, in fact, my daughter's like I was saying, I went and saw Demon Slayer, the movie, this yesterday with my son, and my daughters were somehow got a hold of a pirated copy or something. Anyway, they were watching it online, and they're like, "Dad, so does this person get killed in the movie?" And I'm like, "I don't know, I'm not going to be able to tell you that." So they went downstairs and finished watching it, and they both come up, and they've been bawling their eyes out. And they're just like, "Dad, you didn't tell us that this person died." And I was just like, "You'd have thought I shot their cat." But it was just, and so we were razzing each other, and it really does make for amazing memories and times to, oh, do we find that? So yeah, we're having conversations going on in the chat. But yeah, so it's just, this is a fun anime that you sit down, watch with your kids, and you can have a lot of fun, and you get to actually talk about those things with your kids because of especially with what's going on in the world right now, there's a lot of this where boys and girls and stuff. I feel bad for them. I wonder how. I mean, how do kids even date right now? And I know a lot of kids aren't, like, they're just giving up on it because of all the confusion and the issues surrounding it. And like, how do I date somebody and not and worry about the fact that they might, because I asked them out, they're going to think I'm it's a sexual harassment. And I mean, it is sad that it's so complicated, but it gives me those chances to talk with my kids about that kind of stuff. But yeah, this has a lot of different aspects to it. It is very funny, very well written, and the character dynamics are just something that I haven't seen in any other anime, at least not this way. So it gives you the opportunity to see things from a different perspective. And but yeah, so it's just like, so some of the main characters of this, like I said, the two main characters, and the story really revolves around them, is Usui Misaki. Later on in the season, there's another character, another boy kind of comes in and make this kind of a love triangle kind of thing. Hinata, I can never say that kid's name right. And I don't like it when he comes into this, because it throws, I mean, it actually makes it interesting, but I'm totally rooting for Usui. I mean, yeah, I guess I'm a fanboy in that regard. Is I'm totally on team Usui in this. But like, there's this there's like a secondary school that they end up getting involved with called Miyabiga Oka, which I think is a double entendre or something. I'm not sure, but it's this ritzy, glamorous school that they kind of end up getting involved with, and there's this kind of a love-hate kind of a relationship happening between these two schools. And it leads to a lot of like really funny things, because like one of the things about Misaki is she does martial arts. I think she practices Aikido, which is basically turning your opponent's energy against them. And then she ends up getting into this altercation with the student president of Miyabiga Oka, Igashi Tora. Igashiri. God, I'm terrible at saying these names. So Lord, I apologize. But it is just, at one point he is into jujitsu. He's got her down and is trying to take advantage of her essentially. And that's when Usui breaks in and whoops on, him just a little bit and puts him in his place. But it is just kind of a fun thing, but it's kind of a refreshing thing to see a girl who like can take care of herself. Like she's studying to defend herself, and she knows how to do that. I remember when I worked at a local college here in Idaho, running one of their buildings for them at night, and they used to have people come in and teach girls self-defense classes. And I always thought that was fantastic, because it teaches girls what to do if someone attacks you. And then that comes up later in one of the episodes. Yeah, it is just where there's these two guys that are kind of creepers, and they break in to try and take advantage of Misaki while she's at work, and she basically takes them both down. Usui comes in and tries to play the hero, but she's already got him taken care of by that time. And so it is really fun. I mean, this is definitely a girl power kind of a thing, but it's not done in that preachy girls are better than boys and stuff. There is a lot of that, and that's what, like I said, that's what Usui's having to break through with her. And it's kind of a really funny opposite attracts kind of a love story thing happening within here. And it just makes for a lot of really, really fun interactions. So Masaki's got two really good friends, Hanazo and Shikio. And they're kind of funny. And like, there's this one part where they're doing a school, what is it? It's like a physical tournament thing. anywhere where the students compete against each other, and they get to compete for against each other for prizes and stuff. And one of the prizes ends up being Sakura, which is one of these girls that she has to kiss the winner. And so Masaki's trying to win this race because there's this creepy boy that wants to win the kiss from Sakura. It just leads to this battle between them two, and then Usui comes in and tries to help save the day, and it's just really really well written, really funny. And really sweet that she's trying to protect her friend from having to kiss this guy who's kind of a creepy guy. But yeah, no, this has a lot of really interesting character dynamics and heart, especially where you get to see her interact with the coworkers at the Maid Cafe. There's this one girl called Hanukkah, and she's like this sweet little this thing, and then she goes dark, like around Misaki, because she kind of doesn't like Misaki because I don't know, because girl issues. I don't know why do girls not like each other. There's a lot of funny things where they do that kind of stuff, where they dislike each other just for the fact that they're another girl. But like the manager of this place she works at is just she reminds me of the women that I grew up in the community, where it was a small farming community, and there's just these little sweet, down to earth, motherly types. And sure, her boss is like one of those where, like, Usui says something to her at one point, like, "Oh, that's so sweet," and the screen fills up with flowers. Because she's having this love reaction, and she's like, "Oh my," trying to clear the flowers away. It reminds me of some of the women in this community where I grew up, and how just cutesy things, they just love that kind of stuff. But it really was a lot of fun to see her and her reactions, and she's always just like, "Oh dear, it's dark Hanukkah, she showed up." So, but I mean, if you are interested in slice of life animes at all, you owe it to yourself to go and watch this one. You will have a lot of fun. You will definitely find a character that you will identify with. There's kind of a girly boy character in this. Yukimura, he's the student body council vice president. He keeps getting dressed up like a girl because, like, he's kind of just not a very manly boy and stuff, but like the things that happen to him are just absolutely hilarious, and he's trying to be more manly, and everybody's trying to basically just tell him that he doesn't have any manliness to him, and it's just and it makes it a fun. Like I said, there's a lot of juxtapositions that are going on within the characters of this story. And then you've got Misaki's sister, Suzuna, and she is like constantly, because they're so poor, she's in these clubs where she tries to win sweepstakes and stuff, and that she's constantly winning stuff throughout the different the show, and to see the complete difference between her and her sister, which is always so fantastic to me to watch shows with good family dynamics, to show that within a single family you can have complete polar opposites. You can have hot and cold siblings where some are just like outgoing crazy lunatics, and then you've got the reserved, withdrawn, completely different kind of siblings. And I grew up in a family of 6, and so I know exactly what that's like, because we're not all the same. Me and my brothers, there's 5 of us and 1 sister. We look like clones of each other. We really do. It's almost creepy. Which it's one of those funny things where, but we're all quite different, but we look like we were like my parents just went pa-ching, 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 and just stamped us out of a mold. But I don't know. My brothers are probably like, "I don't want to look like you. Ew." No, but it is fun to watch those family dynamics. And like I said, this anime is just so well written for what it is. Thanks, Anega. Anega's telling me I make it. I have a lot of practice. Like I said, there is so much estrogen floating around in my house any one time. I mean, if you move in a wrong direction at the wrong moment, I swear my moobs get just a little bigger from the estrogen poisoning. So yeah, no, yes, you should be worried because there's just so much estrogen in my house. And my son's out of the house now. He lives on his own, so it's just me and the dog, and they keep trying to neuter him, and I won't let them because then I'm all alone. They've managed to do that to all the cats, and I just feel bad for them. Um, but yes, I've had a lot of practice with making girl voices because I have to mimic my daughters all the time just to tease them. But no, this anime has a lot to offer. Just in a lot of different areas, a lot of different ways. The animation style is a lot of fun, like where it'll show her, it'll show Misaki morphing into this huge rage monster to deal with the boys in the school. And the funniest thing about this is the way the guys are portrayed in this is so spot on to how high school boys are. Just dirty, can't remember to shower half the time, only interested in just girls and testosterone. And I mean, it really shows teenage boys at their teenage ness. I don't know how you'd even say that. But it reminds me of the kids I went to school with. And at one point, there's this boy in there. He's out. They're outside, and he gets thrown into this building by Misaki and locked in there and she tells him to repent because he's stripped down to his underwear, painted lips on his belly button, and like eyes on, on his nipples, and he's doing a belly button dance. And so she comes along and shoves him into this building and locks him in there. And I mean, it is just, I don't know if you guys ever saw, like back in the 80s, they used to have what they called the whistling hats. And it was men that would like just wear shorts and they'd put these big top hats over the top half of their body and then do that exact thing. They'd make lips on their belly button and then act like they were whistling. And it just reminds me of that. So there's a lot of like just funny stuff that's happening. And I mean, like I said, I can't even begin to describe all of the different circumstances that they managed to fit in here, but like they must have gone to a high school somewhere and just sat down with a pencil and watched the boys run around being stupid and went, oh yeah, that's funny where that's going in there. Oh, that's hilarious. That's totally going. Either that or these guys just remembered how they were in high school. And I don't know whether it was women or men that wrote this or the combination of the two that were involved in creating this particular anime. And like I said, it was not one that would have originally caught my eye, but that's the thing. I'm starting to try a lot more different animes now because of the way they do it is so much different than a lot of the stories we're getting over here, and it is a lot more fun to get to see that. And there is none of this, like the political correctness has not hit there yet. It reminds me of my youth before political correctness ruined literally everything. I knew guys like Usui Takumi. I knew girls like Misaki who were the nose to the grindstone. Yeah, I mean, I knew kids like that. And so it's a lot of fun to see these characters and the way they're portrayed. But so I this probably won't be a super long broadcast tonight because I don't know how many different ways I can say go watch this anime before I end up just sounding repetitive. But seriously, if you have not seen this, go watch it. If you've got young daughters, like sit down and watch it with them. It will open up conversations that you'll have a lot of fun with your kids. Me and my kids are really pretty open with each other about things. In fact, so open at times, my girls can embarrass me, which I did not think that was possible because I'm one of those guys that just don't always have a filter like I should. Um, and I have a very dark sense of humor that tends to get me into trouble a lot with my wife, especially because yeah, because my dad was the same way. My dad has a very dark sense of humor, and it just comes out. But it's a lot of fun, and me and my kids have a good time. So that's what's important. But seriously, this this is just a great anime, and I end up watching it over and over a lot because every time I watch it, I get to catch something just a little different than the last time. And you see like a different joke that got put in that you didn't catch the first time around. And I love shows like that where you get to where there's just a little something different every time, or you like there's this one part in one of the episodes where there's a boy who doesn't like girls. It's like he is the reverse of Misaki, because as a kid he was told by his father that girls are breakable, and so he's scared. Um, so he's scared of girls, and so he like Misaki's trying to get more girls into the high school. He doesn't want any more girls in the high school, and so he tries to hypnotize her and get her to make a fool of herself, and he makes her act drunk in front of at this one point. It is really funny. But yeah, it is a lot of fun. Go watch this. You will enjoy um, the time that you'll spend watching this anime, and you'll get something just fun and entertaining out of it. So that's where I'm going to leave it for this week. Next week we will be talking Attack on Titan. So which is one of my girls' favorite and one of my favorite. It is more of an adult style anime in the fact that it is quite violent. There's a lot of violence. It is a very kind of a dark story. So to answer, Dee Dee Myers is asking where you can find this. You can find this one on Hulu right now, also on Netflix. I'm not it may also be on Funimation's own site. But yeah, they are like I said, it is a lot of fun. So if you get the opportunity, go take a look at this. But yeah, Titan, Attack on Titan, we will be talking about that one next week. It is another fantastic anime. It has a lot of really cool storylines running throughout that one. That's another one that caught me off guard that I wasn't expecting to like. I started watching it and I was just like, this is a little too violent for my taste. But then you start to understand. And anyway, I mean, I'm a guy, so I don't know if there is such a thing as too much violent, stuff. Because I mean, Demon Slayer is just as bad. but yes, so we will be talking about that. So I hope that you guys will join me next week for Attack on Titan. I am going to try and get some guest people to come in and help me talk about that one because it is a very popular one. Guys particularly like this one, but my girls love it. My girls absolutely love Attack on Titan. I think it's Captain Levi. Every time I say the words Captain Levi in my house, all my girls go, "Oh my gosh, that's so cute!" Anyway, and it sparks a girl joyasm. So that one will be a lot of fun to talk about. So I look forward to seeing you. We will be back and like I said, I apologize for the confusion for this stream this week. I moved it around for no apparent reason. Anyway, but yeah, so next week we will be doing that, and it will be at 7 p.m. next Sunday. And I look forward to seeing you guys come and enjoy this. Come talk with us about it. We're really just going to have a lot of fun with that one. Thanks for being here, and thank you everybody who jumped in the chat and commented. I really enjoy the opportunity to get to interact with you guys on these live streams. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will talk to you next week. And that's where we're going to end the show this week. So Talk to you next time.